The pages of history are written by those who claim victory, controlling minds for 2,000 years, kept us in line by stoking our fears. No longer will we hide who we are. We're stronger together by far. We are witches, we shall rise from the earth into the skies. Unite.
Hello, everyone. Hello, sis. How are you today?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. It's been really nice out. So here in the Midwest, that's good.
It's we're breaking another heat record today at 113 in good old Scottsdale, Arizona. So I'm lucky I'm in the air conditioning right now, so I'll take it. But we have a great guest today. Today's guest is one of the most influential figures in modern paranormal investigation, a man whose work shaped the field long before most teams even existed. Dave Juliano is a veteran investigator and demonologist with over 40 years of experience handling extreme hauntings, demonic cases, and high-risk client situations. As an ordained member of the clergy, he also performs deliverances and exorcisms when they're truly needed. In 1994, Dave created the Shadowlands, the very first paranormal website on the internet, the interweb, introducing the world of Ghost Hunting 101, haunted locations, cryptids, UFOs, and countless unexplained mysteries. He has trained thousands of investigators through Ghost Hunting 101 and SJGR programs, and he's led South Jersey ghost research for more than 27 years. He also co-directs Sanctuary Paranormal. He is an author, a teacher, a pioneer whose work has shaped how investigators approach the paranormal today. Welcome, Dave. Thank you for being with us today.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm listening to the bio and I'm like, who the hell is that?
You know, I have some nightmares sometimes where we introduce a guest and the guest goes, who is that? I'm not that person. And I'd be like, oh my gosh.
I have to say I've had that too. It's like, wait,
oh no.
So, Dave, you've been in the paranormal field for decades. What was the moment, the exact moment when you realized that this wasn't just an interest, but a calling?
That's hard to say. I mean, it's going into the ghost hunting stuff, just the basic ghost hunting stuff. I was looking for answers for myself of what I experienced. So I really wasn't getting into it. It's more selfish reasons to get into it, trying to find answers. You know, and I think you have the big one, like what happens, after you die. So that's what drove me initially. And then once I started working, I guess, deeper and deeper, where we were graduating out of the historic locations and cemeteries, because back then that's all you had.
Right.
And started doing some private homes. I was, blessed enough to work with some people that instilled the real meaning of doing it when you're helping clients, that it's not for you, it's for them.
Right.
It's not about you getting the best EVP. It's not about you getting the best photo. It's about making sure that when you walk away, whatever they wanted out of your interaction, that's what you've given them. So whenever that happened, that's when I had the epiphany of like, oh, wow, this is like something I should be doing, and doing more of and taking it more seriously, and not just focusing on me, focusing on the other people, because I knew what it was like to live through that stuff. So I could kind of get on their level and say that when they would tell me something and say, You're going to think I'm crazy, or you're not going to believe this. I can say, you may be crazy, but then I am too.
Right.
But let's talk about what's going on. So, I mean, when you can relate to somebody on that level, they know that you've experienced stuff too, and that goes a long way. So, that's a dancing around way of answering it. There's no specific. For the demonologist stuff, I realized when all of a sudden I went from never ever wanting to do that kind of stuff to being in the middle of a deliverance, holding a lady down and holding a cross on her shoulder, and realized that what just happened.
Wow.
Why am I here? How did I get here? And it was like going from minor league, midget, baseball and then being like in the majors without realizing that you did any of that stuff. So it was that was a shocking revelation that I had. The calling had come in, and apparently I answered the phone. So
it was like, Dave, are you there?
I was told that you can't ignore it. The phone will just keep ringing and ringing and ringing. You can't mute it. So it's easier to give in.
It's true. As a medium, I can totally attest to that. Very much so.
Has there ever been a time or a moment that you like, is this work really for me?
Probably a lot. Quite often. Anybody that does the demonology stuff, there's something I tell people, I guess tongue in cheek, there's something wrong with us. Because no one should want to willingly go into that. No one should want to willingly go in. That's where the bad thing is. Oh, well, let me take a look. Where is it? Up in your attic where there's no light, or down the basement? I mean, it's all places that your brain is screaming at you. What's wrong with you, you idiot? Get the hell out of there. Right. So, I guess it is a concept thing, really, honestly, because you have to reevaluate, like, what am I doing here? Because I think that's a healthy thing to do, because the people who ride in like they are the white knight on the white horse to save people, and they have all the answers. They're the ones that are the dangers out there. And as soon as you get the hero complex, then you're just setting yourself up to you'll be a client one day for someone else.
Right. Succinctly said. Very much so.
Wow. Is there any cases that, and I know all cases are confidential, but is there a case where you just like, oh my God, this is scarier than anything? How am I going to do this? Am I actually going to do this? I'm scared of this, but I got to do it because that's what your job is. But has there been a case like that?
There was there's been a lot, but some of the ones that jump out, because I use them as like teaching tools in my classes. One was down in Delaware, and we were sitting at a table talking to the client, and all of a sudden she starts talking about some other case, some other thing, not her own. And I start recognizing the details. And the more I recognize it, the more the smile on her face gets bigger and bigger. And she says, you remember me yet? So this was something that I already had dealt with, and she was just rambling down the cases that we have, met before.
Oh, wow.
Which was a little unnerving, because that's when I realized that, they really do follow you, and they really do remember who you are. Because these were details about a case that were not vague details. They were very specific. And about an hour later into it, we were doing a deliverance. And I had a lot of people come with me on this case for some reason. And I don't remember why, but there was about 10 of us. And 9 of them were trying to hold down this woman who weighed about 100 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember standing there. I'm the one that's completely undefended. I have like a book in my hand. You know, I can't protect myself. So I'm looking down at a guy that is like 6'4" and, you know, easily double or triple her weight. And she is just swinging him around on. All he had to do was hold her leg. Yeah, along with the other 8 people, and he wasn't doing a good job of it. He was being just swung around. They all looked like just little rag dolls trying to hold down this woman. And I'm realizing that, like, you know, if they can't, you know, if one of them fails, yeah, one of them lets go, I am in deep trouble.
Wow.
So that's one of those, you know, panicking moments that, you know, I guess you start to rethink, what am I doing here, kind of thing. But I look over and her boyfriend starts to go into some kind of convulsions and stuff. And there was another priest there with us, and he walked over and started working on, you know, that person. So now some of the people had to go over with him. So now I have less people holding the lady down. And we're doing like tandem deliverances at the same time.
Wow.
So just looks between back and forth. We're both looking at each other going, you know, that, you know, this is not good. This is not where I wanted to spend the day. But that one sticks with me, because it just, I think the realizing that they recognize you, that it's not just some one-off spirit. Sometimes it's something that you encountered more than once. And then to see, it's not often you see that physical strength. It's not. It's very rare. But when you see it like that, and it was like, it wasn't just, you know, she was getting, you know, she was going through a seizure or something, or whatever people want to say, and she was all, you know, amped up on drugs. No, that wasn't the case. And she had, you know, probably easily 1,000 pounds holding her down, you know, and it was like, it was nothing. It was nothing at all. And honestly, if she wanted to, I think the scariest part is realizing that if she wanted to, she could just toss all those people aside and just grab me. I think it was more of the anticipation of expecting that was the fear. And I guess they kind of know that. They know that sometimes it's worse to think about it than actually have it done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's scary. That's totally scary. I was going to say, when you're talking about the tossing around like rag dolls, I'm seeing that, like, and she's only 100 pounds. That's crazy. Wow. That is scary. Yeah. How do you contain your fear at that point? You know, it's like, you really just have to ground, and
you have to, you go somewhere. There's something that suddenly that, it's not like a hero complex. It's the calling, I guess. You know, I think I was put there in that moment for a reason, and it's not my job to question why I was put there. It's to do what I need to do, and I am just a conduit for anything coming through me to help her. I am just the announcer and the MC. I am reading the stuff, but all the real, you know, energy and power comes through me and back out. Just the vessel, basically. Right. So I have to hold up my end and, you know, do what I was sent there to do. And then, you know, you don't have to like it. You don't have to, you know, it's like a job. You know, you don't wake up. No one in this field who really does this stuff wakes up and go, boy, I hope a case comes in today.
Right.
You wait when it's midnight, you go, got to throw another day with a case in. So we don't look for cases. We don't want cases to come in. If we get a year with no cases, that's fine.
Right.
That is absolutely fine, because that means that we weren't called up to go do something, which is, I'm okay with that. I am okay.
Do you, in relationship to that, do you find, or have you had any cases where, like, you've done a deliverance and then you had to go back again, or your success rate is 100%.
Nobody's success rate is 100%. Anyone that says they're lying, really stretching it. That's just impossible. It's like good marketing is what they're doing. They probably charge too when they say that's,
Yeah.
When you watch them on TV and in the movies, it gives that impression that it's like a one and done kind of thing.
Right.
And it's never one and done. It's a process. And you have to know that when I bring new people on the team and they're training and we're going over to a house, especially if it's their first time, I have to make sure they may get that moment where they realize, I'm getting the hell out of here kind of thing. I let them know it's like we're going over, say like at 3 p.m. I can't tell you when we're leaving. I can't tell you anything about, whether we're leaving today or tomorrow. We're there depending on what happens. Right. We can't just suddenly decide, we're going to come back later and just leave in the middle of it.
Right.
Once that process starts, you have to continue it. And, most of the time it's something that needs to, it's layers that you're peeling back.
That makes sense.
Ultimately, it's when you're doing a deliverance or an exorcism, the most important person in the room is the person sitting in the chair having it done to them, because they're the one that has to do the heavy lifting. They have to be willing to push stuff out. They have to be willing to let go of anything they may have said or done, whether known or unknown, that may have caused this to come into their lives. And they have to mean that. Mm-hmm. So that's where people get stuck, because they'll let go of a lot of things, but maybe hold on to one, and that's still not good enough. It's still entrenched. Then you're still ultimately you're giving it permission to be there. So now you're doing some psychological work with the client, letting them know that we can stand here all day and do this. We could fly the Pope in, and it's still not going to matter if you're holding on to something because you're saying you'd rather have this there than not.
Right.
So the success rate is not great, honestly, because of human nature. People, because of the TV shows and movies, nothing happens the first time that they can see. So we're going to have to come back. But on TV, that doesn't happen, so we must not know what we're doing. Or they, it scares them into not wanting us to come back. They'd rather have, the magic pill instead of going through all the hard work. So people bail out, or if we do push something away, then they decide to do something again that's going to allow it to come back in.
Oh,
and that happens more times than I can count. Even when you're specific with them and tell them absolutely do not do this, 9 times out of 10 they are going to do exactly that. And then it's like, well, maybe he didn't mean it exactly like that. Let me just see. I don't know. It's human nature.
Yeah.
Curiosity, or is it really gone? Let me see.
Right.
And so there's a lot of those people don't necessarily reach back out to you, because when they realize they screwed up, they don't want to be embarrassed and reach back out for help, which is another part of the whole trap. They now have built their own self. But there are those cases that you do. They are successful, but they're the ones that you don't necessarily hear back from the client, because they don't doing what we do. They don't want to reminisce.
Right.
We're not old friends. They don't want to reminisce about the worst time in their life. So it's like they're not contacting us again. And once in a blue moon, we get an email from someone that says, "Hey, everything's going great. Thanks again." Years down the road. And that's kind of what I guess keeps you going a little bit, because that that at least there was in the tiny little bin of wins. There's another one. So
Right.
I think you just have to be willing to know that you're not going to be successful every time.
Right. Well, and you bring up, a point about TV. I mean, I think we've Christy and I've discussed this with many paranormal investigators in the sense of, it's paranormal entertainment, it's not real life. It's not anything that has to do with the real life and what real paranormal investigations are.
Money.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So in lieu of that, looking back, what do you think the paranormal community got right in the early days that they've lost now?
Years ago, we would want other groups to go out to a location and investigate it so we could compare notes. There was nothing to compare it with, especially when there were fewer groups. I can remember many locations felt like they needed to be like loyal and they only wanted us to come out. And I would tell them, please don't do that. Invite other groups. And here's a couple I can suggest right off the top of my head, because that's what we all did. Because we were trying to gather information and we realized that other teams were part of that. They were using different equipment, different methods, different people, and just the luck of being there at the right time at the right place. So when you had someone that was you didn't even know from another team get exactly what you got on in the same location, that validation is great, but that really makes you now, that's something you can write down as something that's happening there, because now two different people have gotten the same exact thing without knowing it. The verification of that matters to the locations too. Now, it's every man for himself. And when you contact a place, to just say, hey, would you be interested in, having us come out or anything? You got to hope that the 300 groups that you just pissed off by stepping on their personal place that they have the sole rights to, although the owner isn't aware of that.
Right. Exactly.
And then the 3 or 4 year battle that will ensue over that.
Right.
That really wasn't there was stuff going. There was, we were a small community. There were still people, griping at each other, but it was back like, when we were all younger and before social media. If you had a problem with somebody, you either talk to them face to face or over the phone. There was no, there was no keyboard warriors where it's very easy to say something when you're not in front of somebody.
Exactly.
Or preaching to the social media crowd.
Right.
That didn't exist, and I think that's what made it easier for us to stay like that. Once that stuff started coming out, that changed everything. Not just the money wise and the influencers and all that. It just the whole attitude. It's like beer goggles, where people were willing to say anything at all when they don't have to look you in the face.
Exactly.
And then when you see them anywhere, they act like there's nothing wrong and they'll smile and want to hug, and it's insanity, really. And that's kind of where we are now.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. We have a couple of teams that we've done interviews with, for Para-Unity, and there seems to be a want and a drive for that. It's coming out more, but it's an uphill battle. It really is an uphill battle, because you still have those people that are in that mindset that, no, why would I want to collaborate with you? This is, this is my place, and you don't get to go investigate it. And, it's a shame.
I think we try too hard for the Para-Unity.
Yeah.
If we're sitting here talking about Para-Unity, then we're all in that club. So if we make it more exclusive to just the people who are always saying, I wish we could do this, and just all stick together and
Good point.
kind of not pay attention to, a blind eye to the other, craziness that's going on. Let them create their own paranormal universe, and we may, whether we're a smaller number or a bigger number, it really doesn't matter. We'd be the happier people, and a lot, just, a lot less stress and drama. And, I wouldn't be afraid to, when I open up Facebook on my phone, I probably swipe up twice and then stop, especially if I didn't read anything about anybody bad mouthing anybody yet. Then I call that a good day.
Yeah.
But normally that's not the case.
Yeah.
So I don't want my whole day and my whole view on the paranormal to be, tainted by, egos.
Mm-hmm.
Egos and wallets.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is. And everyone to think that there's people out there now that have been trained to see it as the lottery.
Yeah.
If we do this, maybe this is the one we're going to get a show. And
yeah,
they didn't just do the math and figure out in the past 20 years exactly how many paranormal shows were there.
Right. And now we're gone.
Yeah.
And they're gone. Yeah. But overall, I mean, you're probably talking like 30, 40 in 20 years.
Right.
That's nothing, and most of them were like a one and done. I mean, I did too. I mean, I remember National Geographic, American Paranormal. The director was great. He thought it was a good idea that when we did Eastern State Penn, and we didn't get anything. We were there with like people, scientists, physicists, infrasound engineers, all different. The guys from FLIR brought all their stuff, and we didn't get anything. So he changed the whole thing to Ghosts Don't Exist, and he did the same thing with the UFO show and the Bigfoot show, which were the 3 pilots, and then was surprised when they didn't pick the show up.
Oh yeah.
So so I've been there with the one and done thing, but the ones that do stay, some of them started out with, I think, with the best intentions. Then things get complicated because then it's a job,
right?
And they're not sending you out, spending 5 figures for you to fly out somewhere and spend a week there and then come back with no show,
right?
So there has to be something that you come back with. We've all heard the crazy EVPs that sound like a robot talking, but you can't make out anything. Maybe that's the best they got. And you have the producers saying, "Look, I'm not really worried about your reputation is in the field. This is money. This is what we're all getting paid to do, including you. So we're going to put Mr. Roboto out there as some evidence, and that's it." And those investigators are now stuck with that. They can't get away from that. So you never know how much is the decision from the people behind the camera and how much is the integrity of the investigators. But then you turn to YouTube, where you only have the integrity of the investigators, where I've seen things where it's like the gang from Scooby-Doo do better investigations. But when you look at the people who have liked or followed that one particular video, and it's in like the hundreds of thousands, I can't explain that.
Yeah, you shake your head.
Obviously, something that they're doing is entertaining, or people just like watching train wrecks.
Right.
But it doesn't seem that way when you look at the comments. People are just they really enjoy that, and that's okay.
Right.
But draw the line where it's a serious investigation, or if it's for entertainment only.
This is right.
If
Exactly.
you go run around a scary place and see how scared you can get, or I've been there. We were doing an investigation just for the hell of it at Pennhurst, and we all decided that we were going to turn our flashlights off and see how long we could stay in one of the dark hallways. Just no there's no value to that kind of investigation, but it was more of it was for our entertainment to say who was the first one that was going to say something or get up and walk out or run
who's
out.
gonna run out? Yeah.
Right. I mean, and that was, I probably would watch that, but knowing that that's for entertainment, it's not what a real investigation is.
It needs to be a
And-
disclaimer, you know? I mean, because then you
And
get the residential cases. Like, you know, I'm a medium and I actually consult with 3 different teams, and locally one team here does residential investigations, and they think that it should be all like, you know, that show that we're kind of talking about. And it's like, no, that's not even remotely how it goes, you know? And that is an entertainment purpose show. This is real life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem where people don't. If they've grown up and learned from watching, certain TV shows and YouTube channels,
Right.
Can you blame them for going out there and doing things, the wrong way? Or, I mean, there's no show or there's no YouTube channel that shows you how you should handle a client in a house.
Right.
How to deal with mental health issues, even just for a regular client, just the anxiety they have of inviting strangers coming to their house. They must really be concerned if they're allowing strangers to come in their house and sit in the dark and mess around with stuff that they have no idea what it is. I mean, they've crossed a line anxiety-wise.
Right.
And you don't learn that from watching YouTube or the TV shows. You learn that from being trained by people who are doing it.
Right.
There's no segue from one to the other.
Mm-hmm.
You can't start doing it. And that's, my team probably cleans, probably 40% of our cases are cleanups behind other people.
Oh.
And when they're the bad cases, that makes it even worse, because now we have to undo the damage that the other team did, and then still try to win back the confidence from the client, and then try to figure out what was really wrong to begin with.
Right.
So they complicated it, threefold by going in there and not being willing to accept that they may not be the people that could really do this.
Right.
That it's not like it is on TV. It's just simply like that. That's not real life, and it's a lot more involved, because when you were going in, they are looking at us. The client looks at us as we're experts, even though there are no experts. But that's how they're going to view us. So if you have an exterminator come into your house because you have a problem in your basement, they go down your basement, and a second later they're running up the steps, running out the front door, and taking off. When's the next time you're going down your basement? Probably not for a long time.
Right, exactly.
So if you don't have that option to do that, you can't freak out, you can't run and scream and carry on and stuff. That is making it worse, not better.
Right.
The people don't want to know. We had a woman contact another team because they could get out there faster. So, and this was back in the day where everyone thought orbs was everything. That was the spirits floating all around.
Mm-hmm.
And she was really afraid that she had a ghost there. They came out immediately. 2 guys came out with their camcorder. They videotaped a bunch of orbs and then said, "No, you don't have one ghost. You have a whole bunch."
Oh, no.
And then they left, and that was it.
They didn't do anything else?
No, that's all they do. They got their video clip. That was more important than anything else.
Say that was the moneymaker shot right there.
Yeah, probably went right up onto their webpage or social media or whatever. But this is you just really damaged that person psychologically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't do it intentionally, but they just did it because they had no clue. That's not something you do.
Right.
I would tell people, they're afraid they have one ghost. Telling them they have multiple is not a good way to go.
You accelerate their anxiety level from like 0 to 60 in 2 seconds flat.
Yeah.
So it's learning how to talk to people it's a lot of the stuff isn't paranormal stuff.
Right.
It's a lot of investigative work, interviewing, people, person to person interactions. All that stuff is more important than the actual investigation. That's just now following up on everything else and trying to tie things together.
Right.
There's even cases that I know there's groups out there now that would go like, oh my God, why is he saying this? But you may not need an investigation.
Right.
You could go out. We always get a questionnaire, and then we go and talk to the person in person at their house before we decide we're going to do anything. Just because they contact us does not mean an investigation.
Right.
So we after we have the questionnaire and we meet them, that gives us enough where we think we know enough that we come up with a game plan of what we should do next. And there's a lot of times that doesn't involve an investigation whatsoever. If someone is sensitive spirits, they just didn't really realize it yet, coming out and doing an investigation serves no purpose whatsoever. Pointing them in the right direction of books to read, classes to take, maybe someone that you're aware of in the area that you can say, hey, can you help this person out?
Right.
There's so many things out there now that could help them, because once they understand what's going on, maybe some of the fear goes away. And too many groups, and I probably would say a majority, would automatically, from the get-go when they're contacted, there's nothing that person could say that would be deterring them from doing the investigation.
Right.
And that's not what the personal case and the private cases are. That's something for when you finally get a place you've been trying to get for a long time, or that's
Right.
that's totally different. When you're going into a private house, those things don't matter.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing I teach people because people join South Jersey Ghost Research. We put them through a training thing. It can take anywhere from 6 to 9 months on average. And there's a written test. There's a practical test. There's a lot before I will put somebody in a private house and say, hey, I trust you to be able to do this the way that we've explained. Because it takes a while to correct what the misconceptions they've gotten from TV and social media about how you do this.
Right.
It's like, you can do it that way, but that's for you on your own, doing a fun place that you're out there. And then there's the one where you're doing it for somebody else.
Right.
And they are two different things, not remotely close. So, I mean, I was going to say sometimes it's the only thing that's the same as the equipment, but that's not true either. Walking around with a ghost box in someone's house, not a good idea.
Right.
Because you can't control what's going to be said across that ghost box at any given time. Like the obelisk too. Mm-hmm. You can't control that. It's a wild card. It can say something really, that the client's going to take the wrong way, and they can't unhear that. And the only reason they even heard that was because you brought that piece of equipment in. So there's things that they're nice to have for your investigations, but when you're going for someone else's, you don't need to bring it. There's a whole different way to investigate. And that's not, you'll never see that explained anywhere on YouTube or, even the TV shows. They don't show where the line is. Mm-hmm. It's for some people, there's no line.
Right.
We have a question from someone who is on YouTube but cannot post or anything. But she was wondering about the entities and everything. Because she says, you hear all the rumors about Annabelle and other dolls out there that supposedly have like an entity inside of the doll. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to do an entity in a doll or any haunted items?
Haunted items come up a lot. When we're doing with the bad cases, normally if there's something that seems to be a focal point, or just potentially it's which one of these things doesn't belong here kind of deal. Where
Yeah.
we're trying to figure out what the source is, maybe by taking, they know that 6 months ago this stuff started, but they also got this, this locket or this mirror or this something, that from a relative or from an antique shop or trash picked, wherever they got it, then we may say, okay, well, let's get rid of this item and see what changes. And dolls do seem to be, very popular. And I think if I was an evil spirit, hopping into a doll to scare the crap out of somebody would be a very effective way of doing it.
Absolutely.
Like,
True.
everybody's, especially if it's a clown doll. There you go.
Yeah.
Double it up. So right there, you already got them psychologically, so why not? I think in situations like some of the more famous haunted objects, especially the dolls, some of them are bound to where that spirit is basically trapped in there. With the way like Ed Warren had his museum set up, those things were there to take them out of circulation.
Right.
So they weren't going to show up at some flea market somewhere or move on to like their next person. So
Right.
by holding on to them and keep them out of circulation, that was solving part of the problem. I think that other than maybe a handful of people, like with Ed and John Zappis and a few other people that have the haunted, the collections of haunted objects that are doing the right thing, they're keeping them in for the right reasons and keeping them out of circulation. The other people that are out there just putting these dolls out and or whatever the item is, they don't realize when they pop that picture up on Facebook of this thing, and all the people focusing on it, all the energy that's going is going right to that entity that's there, supercharging it. It's the objects complicate things a lot. But if there's something that we determine is the cause or maybe adding to what's happening, we do remove it. I don't hold on to anything, and there's different ways of getting rid of the things that are going to be in a way that should keep them from ever coming back in circulation again. Including,
I can see that because we're going to go to Salem, Massachusetts here in September. And I don't know if you heard or not, but the Warrens Museum, Matt and Elton's supposed to always moving Annabelle for a little bit and to Salem, Massachusetts for people to go in and see her and everything. And I know a lot of people has asked us, well, since you're going to be out there at the same time, open week, are you going to go see her? And of course, Sis and I is like, no, we're not. We're not going to give money or power to a doll that may not even be the true Annabelle, for one thing. It could be a replica. But what is your feelings on that? Do you? Because you seem like you want to. You tell them the truth about the paranormal and everything, demonology and everything like that. But when it comes to like that doll, like Annabelle or Robert the doll or something, how do you feel of them being displayed and everything? Because you are giving, them power and everything. Or do you think it's just like a money-making game?
I think if the objects are being handled properly, which whether you're doing it religiously or through any other means where you're going to be doing some protection around the items, basically to protect them from the people that are going to be coming in and putting their energy out there. Well, if you are consciously taking care of the things like that, then it's not as bad. I did 2 of the Seekers of the Supernatural Paracons when they were bringing Annabelle and some of the other things out. And the first time I went out, they had asked me to bring some of the equipment from the Ghost Hunter store and set it up on stage. And I didn't realize till we got there that, I was setting it up on Annabelle and a bunch of the other, more, famous or horrific dolls and toys. There was a little toy dinosaur. I mean, there was just, so I had never seen that stuff up close. And, I was, a fraction of an inch away from all of it because I'm laying my equipment on top of stuff. I'm draping my tripwire across Annabelle's case. So I was very aware of what, my first question was, what are you doing to protect everybody?
Right.
Before we did that, I watched how they brought the item out. I watched, there was prayers involved. There was a lot of stuff that was done behind the scenes. And it was myself and Dan Rivera that were taking questions and answers when they brought people in. And one of the questions was, why are you bringing this out here? Isn't this dangerous? Or is it just, a publicity or money making thing? And I said, if I come out on stage and I start talking about demons to a large crowd here, and I'm just some old guy that is up there talking about demons. If you don't believe in it, but when I can give you just treating it as a prop, here's the doll that you've all known. Here's the real thing sitting right here. It becomes real for you. Mm-hmm. The people there are hanging on your every word because you bought a learning tool there. And it also shows for that we're bringing it out there in a safe way, that there are ways to deal with this stuff, that good can overpower the evil. And that's an example of, this. When you are just speaking at a lecture somewhere, or when you have 5 of the most, well-known haunted demonic objects standing behind you, you suddenly have this, the power of what you're saying sticks. People are just paying more attention because of what's up there with you. So using it the right way, yes. I can't say I'm against them bringing the stuff out as long as they're doing it properly. And I've had at some of my events, I've had people bring haunted doll and haunted object collections, but I know the people who did it. I know how they take care of everything. And if I'm trusting that'll help everything. And we're not letting people touch the stuff or walk around with it, anything at all. We're being careful how it's shown. Even at my events, they're kind of moved through fairly quickly. And that's a limited amount of people, limited amount of time. That's part of the thinking behind it. That you're not going to be exposed to anything. And honestly, if there's bad people out there or people that shouldn't be getting those objects, they're going to find them, or the objects are going to find them anyway. It's not at a paranormal expo. It's not at anything like that. It's somewhere where they least expect it, and because most of those objects, that's how they came into being anyway. They were something that was totally innocent that turned into something else because of an outside, source.
My cousin finds haunted. He looks for haunted items in antique stores. He loves going to antique stores and finding them. But kind of piggyback on this one, because we know what the paranormal teams nowadays, what they have done wrong in the past. But for today, do you think any of the paranormal teams that's like on TV or that we know of, what are they doing that is right?
That's
I think, it's because all you think about is the negative stuff, right?
right. Exactly. I was going to say that's a hard question.
It's what I see a lot of, because since I sell the equipment, I delve into a lot of that. I like to see, and this could be even that's how I want to see some of the entertainment only kind of video, because I see someone that's doing that takes a piece of equipment or a grouping of equipment and uses it in such an unusual way that I've never seen before, that thinking outside the box, that now makes me go, oh my God, I never thought of using it that way. That's great. And having people then replicate that over and over. There's some cool things that we do now, like the Estes method. At some point, someone thought of blindfolding, headphones, the ghost box, and all that stuff. I mean, that wasn't something that, someone came up with that and started and realized, hey, this is working. Hey, why don't you guys try this? It was just a combination that maybe doesn't sound like a natural thing that you would do, but in the right combination, it works. I saw that tripwire. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's like it's everywhere. I still see places that use it in ways I never thought. I saw on one. I don't know if it was one of Josh Gates's shows. I lost track of how many he has now. They were investigating a haunted windmill, and they actually took a bunch of tripwires and wrapped them around one of the fins on the windmill. To see if it would trigger, if it started moving, would it also trigger? I'm like, that's really, I would have never thought of that. I probably wouldn't have wanted to climb up the ladder and wrap it around, but that's a whole other, that's maybe me being lazy and not wanting to do that, but got to give them props for going out and trying something different. I've seen people build like spirals around themselves, or like a Christmas tree effect, and they sit underneath. It's a lot of stuff out there that is one of those things where you may never have come up with that, but you see it and you realize, like, it maybe even just for a specific place, that when we go back there, I got to do this.
Right.
So that's something that, because there's so many people doing it, you have a lot of people that are thinking out of the box unconventionally and trying things and experimenting. So that's nice to see, because it's such a large amount of people now. The chance of someone coming up with something, new, or even just things to add to a piece of equipment, the new features and stuff, that you have, thousands and thousands of people out there asking for this one feature. Hey, get the dead bell, right?
Yeah. My Andy Guy.
Yes.
With there's so many versions of the dead bell now. The first one was the one we carry, the one from Ghost Stop, and now there's that's EMF. Now there's people that are making it with proximity sensors, a whole bunch of other things, and taking the one idea and then kind of running with it. Like, what else can we add? I don't like the EMF thing, but maybe I like this. Let's do a temperature sensor. There's so many different things you can take from that one idea and run with. And, that's the positive, I think, that really would jump out at me. It's not just because I sell the equipment, it's because, even when a new piece of equipment comes out, there's like the recommend, this is what you can use it for. And a year later, that list is like, 100 times longer. This is what you can use it for, because people use their imagination.
Right.
Well, I know that on your Facebook, I saw that you've been to Paracons. where you actually have some equipment out for, I guess you could say, show and tell in a way. So what is one of your favorite go-to equipment that you have to have it each time you do investigation?
I've, you know, unfortunately, I have to have all the equipment because I sell it. So I have to, that's my excuse. I can tell my wife I didn't buy it. I have to have it because it's, I have to know how it works if I'm going to sell it.
I wonder if that works for me. Honey,
fair enough. Yeah, I know.
So I literally have in the basement, I probably have Rubbermaids full of, days going by equipment that I just don't use anymore. But I say over the past like 2 or 3 years, when I'm going out someplace where I'm going to go out and mingle or investigate or something, and I'm beyond the days of carrying the huge backpack or my equipment cases around. I want something I can grab real quick. I'm probably grabbing the camera and the tripwire. Every time.
Like
I don't think, I don't think I investigate anywhere without the tripwire. It's just, it was like a dream come true when they built it, because it's basically 10 or 12 of the identical EMF meters, all spaced out evenly.
Right.
And, for like doing that in the hallway or doing that on a staircase or wherever you put it, with regular EMF meters, none of us owned 10 of the same. And then you'd have to have the tripwire, they're all running off exactly the same batteries.
Mm-hmm.
If you have 10 different ones, they're running off individual batteries. So there's already, you've lost some of the continuity that you'd be looking for. So, I mean, it was something that was like, I guess, on a wish list that I didn't know was on a wish list till, they asked me about it. And I'm like, yeah, do that, make that. that's going to be a good one. Just me personally, I will use it everywhere because it gives you that ability to spread out. And I'm carrying one piece of equipment that is 10 pieces of equipment all put together.
Right.
And that the camera, I'm good. If I'm traveling light, that's what I would go with.
Wow. Well, I noticed that, you also am an author or is an author. Some of your books are really interesting. The, Armor of God and just the trying to be here in the dark here. Positive energy for haunted homes and Research 101. Research 101 is something that I put on my Amazon list because it's like, oh, wow. I've been investigating, but not like anybody, it's just like a hobby once in a while. But I would love to have that book and, and read it because that book is for people who are just starting out. And then with I guess you could backing up, with the positive energy for haunted homes, where you use the prayers and crystals and smudging and everything. So how did you come across about? Well, I should say, how was you thinking about when you was writing these books that this is something that is to be told because there's so many out there who wants to start but are doing everything wrong?
I think the first one was the haunted energy or positive energy for haunted homes, which was literally our guidebook of what we were doing and telling when we were working with clients. That's exactly what we were going over. So that was just putting it down in one spot. And these are the ideas that work for us. We also wanted to put it out there too, that I wanted to make sure that I included everything all in one book to show that, some people, depending on your belief system, will, turn away from some things. Like I always mention crystals because we'll deal with that with our clients a lot. And right away they, if they're Christian or, Catholic or something like that right away. It's like, oh, we're not going to do that.
That's right.
That's, I'm like, did you think God was bored that day and he decided to make millions of different crystals with different properties just for the hell of it?
Right.
I'm pretty sure that since he made them, they're okay to use.
Right. Exactly.
Just like the plants, the herbs, the smudging, the resins, all that. Yeah, he did it. Yep. Big guy upstairs. So I'm pretty sure you're covered religiously where you're not going to get in trouble for using this stuff.
That's right. You're not going to go to hell. You're not going to hell.
And that's kind of what one of the things we would have to explain to people that, like that, that's, you can overlap things. Yeah. I use it all, but I mean, just personally, crystals are great because it's something you can throw in your pocket. I have little bags that I'll just load up what I need for that investigation without thinking about it. Afterwards, I'll look back and say how accurate my just guessing was, which is pretty cool when you see how sometimes that just works out. And then, some of the religious stuff, then visualizations, there's so many different things you can do that don't negate the other. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of why, we were trying to put it all together and say, this is how you could do this. But when I wrote it into the book, that made it easier to explain to clients because it was all in one spot, coherently put together instead of just trying to throw in different things and explain stuff. Yeah. The Armor of God was literally my 3-ring binder that was falling apart. That when I would go, that I accumulated over years of all the different prayers and all the different things that I would use on cases. And then one day I realized that I should just type all this up and put it all in one file, and then realized if I put just some commentary in there and explained everything, there's a book, like 85% written already. So I that's where that came from. Was I still it saved me some space carrying stuff to investigations or events now, because I have just a smaller book with all the prayers that I usually use all in there, and I have my little tabs and pages folded down and everything. It looks like a train wreck, but it's used. I really do use it.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
The Ghost Research 101 was based off of my Ghost Hunting 101 classes. I started teaching them years and years ago from back with the Shadowlands. And just in the way I was trained and the way I do things, that's how I teach. That doesn't mean that's all the only right way to do it. That's just my way works for me. I've been doing this a while. If you want to learn that way, here it is. And I kind of just run down the basics of how to use equipment, how to interview people, just enough that to get you started on the right path.
Right.
And that's the rest of it is I add things in there like about how to talk to the clients and all that stuff, just to get people hopefully pointed in the right direction, or at least thinking that this is important. I need to make sure I do this, as opposed to having no idea that that's something that should be done.
Right.
And, just running in carelessly. So they all had a purpose that I needed to. It was easier. You're going to have people that are going to go to a webpage. You're going to have people that go see a lecture or take a class. And then the whole other missing aspect of that was the people who were going to, read a book on their, device now, because they're on Kindle too. Right. Yeah. So it's like, so I was reaching out to more people than I was already, getting, because I felt that especially with the Ghost Research 101, I thought that stuff really needs to get, widely dispersed with enough people that, hopefully they learn from that, and then they tell other people and they learn from that. And it's like, pay down the line where people are learning and learning and learning. That's the concept. At least that's the hope behind that.
I think it will. We have the top of the hour, a little bit past that. So before we go, excuse me. Once you plug yourself in, where are you going to be at for the rest of the year? Do you have anything coming up? Do you have another book in process? What is going on with you, Dave?
Well, I am working on another book. It is due out in 2014. So I'm a little late.
Yeah, I was gonna
It's a
say, hang on a minute. Did I just do the
little bit
time?
late. Yeah,
Wait a minute.
I had to
This is
actually,
time warp.
I had to take duct tape and like tape over on my banner where it said coming 2014. Had to like just tape that out so you couldn't see it anymore because I got tired of people pointing out you're a little late on that. But that's the next one. The more involved stuff after Armor of God. Shield of Faith is what the working title is, but it's going to be more in depth protections and things to like prep work too to do before, how to get everything in order. There's lots of stuff people need that they don't know how to obtain or what the process is. I kind of try to lay it out there for everyone to see. Where I'm going to be. See, I had to pull up my folder over here because I know I'll be angering people if I don't say anything. Okay. Let's see. What's this one? Underworld Culture Convention. It's going to be at Scranton. It's a weekend, so that one's always fun. I'm going to be speaking there. That all these are up on my website, by the way. I have an intro to demonology class that people have asked for me to do out in the Cleveland area. So I haven't done it that far west before. So I'm going to be doing that out there in November. Let's see, HoloCon, that's coming up. I'm going to get overloaded and forget them because there's so many. But anyone, Rock Island, Roadhouse, Esoteric, I'm going to be doing that remotely. The main paranormal convention. Yeah, I'm loaded up for stuff this year. And anything I didn't mention, they're all listed on my website.
Oh, well.
But
And speaking of your website, we have all of them going across the screen that I got off on your Facebook. So I'm hoping they're A-okay to put up.
Yeah, that's nice to see that because there's ones on there that, like the Shadowlands doesn't get enough recognition, honestly. We're trying to bring it back. It kind of went down, because me and Tina got sick, so we weren't able to maintain it like we did. So we're trying to get a team of volunteers to kind of modernize it and resurrect it and bring it back. Because I still hear from people that, this is how we got into it. It was all because I had a woman come up to me at an event saying she wrote her doctorate based off of stuff on the Shadowlands. Wow. I'm like, oh my God. Whoa. So you never know how you're going to impact people with like just something as simple as a website. So
right.
It's nice to know that had that kind of reach.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, it's time for us to go bye-bye. Dave, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to talk. I love listening to you. And congratulations on your new book. If you ever get it, I'm just kind of late on it. 12 years late.
It's like fingers crossed. It's no matter how long it takes me, it's coming out.
Fingers crossed. Jump over to all the links down below and say hi to Dave. And for everybody, please subscribe to Within the Cauldron and Behind the Witch's Bell. We also have a Facebook page to jump over to. Meaning Red has their own site, Meaning Red AZ as in Arizona.com. And everybody, it's been a pleasure and blessings to everyone. Good night.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.